Welcome to Hill Country Network. My name is Chuck Garrett, and I'm very pleased to have with me today the state champion tennis coach and some players representing New Albany High School. First, I'd like to introduce Coach Suzy Bowman. Coach.
Hello.
Appreciate you being here. This is the second time
me.
you've done something with us on Hill Country Network, so we sure do appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Would you introduce these two young people?
I sure will. These are two of the leaders on our tennis team this year, Lexi Kent and Jackson Chris.
All right, and Lexi is in what grade?
She's a junior at New Albany High School.
And Jackson?
He's a senior. He's my only senior this year.
All right. Well, congratulations. And congratulations, you guys. That's a tremendous honor to be state champions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So how did it feel to be at state and compete and just all that kind of thing? Lexi, start us off. How did it feel to you?
It doesn't feel real until it's over
Yes.
and you're off the court. It's a blur the whole way through, definitely.
How about you, Jackson? How did it go for you?
Well, up until that point, it's always, kind of shallow, but like once you get into state, it's always jam-packed with a bunch of people, so nerves are definitely high.
Right.
But once you win, the feeling is incredible.
All right, anybody lose sleep during any of that?
Coach did. Coach did.
All right.
Yeah, just from playoffs on, the state championship is just really high intensity. That whole month, that is jam-packed with our playoffs. And just that hype of state, because if you lose one match, you're out. So it's a single elimination.
Can you kind of retrace what the playoffs were like and who you played and kind of how that worked?
Well, we won our division, and then we had to host Kosciuszko first round, and then we had to travel to Caledonia, which was kind of a long drive. To win our second round, and then we hosted our big rivals Pontotoc for North Half, which is always a big match for us, and we swept them 7-0 in North Half to advance to state.
I know they've always been pretty strong at tennis.
They are good. They're always our strongest competition around here.
So you got to state, and who did we beat to be state champs?
Newton County. I mean, and they've played against Newton County. We've actually played Newton County for the last 5 years for the state championship. So it's kind of just a tradition that they always win the South Half, we win the North Half, and we always meet at state. And it's always a great match.
All right, you said the last 5 years, so I have to go ahead and ask you, how have we done with them the last 5 years?
Well, we're 4-1. So the 1 year that we didn't win was 2017, and that previous year we graduated 11 seniors.
Okay.
So for us to even make it back to the championship match that year, we were very young, was really, just an awesome accomplishment that we did that year.
Well, and with just one senior, it sounds like you're young again this year.
We are. This was a great year. This was a young team. Lexi and Jackson kind of had to take on leadership roles for us this year, where they're used to kind of being led in the past by some of our players that have gone on to play college tennis, but they stepped up as the leaders this year.
Okay. Well, Jackson, let's start with you for just a minute. I understand that you've been called the doubles. How's this thing go? The
double specialist.
The double specialist. You're the double specialist. Okay. Why did you get that nickname?
Well, just my ability to take care of my partner and to find the weaknesses of the other team. That's just really what I can do. It's just I can find their weaknesses and just dismantle them, basically.
All right. Now, I heard you had a partner last year in one state.
That's right.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
She was Rachel Rainey, and we took it to him. We beat him in a third set tiebreak to win it, pretty much, yeah.
Okay, and now this year, and then this year?
This year I won 3-2, 6-2, 6-3. And it was a little bit easier, but my partner was incredible. She was fantastic.
And what's her name?
Mary Claire Shaw.
Mary Claire Shaw.
And she was a new varsity player for us. So
really,
actually, each one of our veteran returning players played with a new player this year, which was really impressive because they really had to lead that new player on the court.
So when they're not varsity, just out of ignorance on my part, are they JV or do they just kind of practice a lot and hope to be varsity one day, or how does that work?
Usually they play the JV matches, and they're always trying to work their way up into a varsity spot, but top 6 boys and top 6 girls play in the varsity spots.
Okay.
And they play in the state
They
championship.
do like challenges during the week? And
we
all
do. Yeah, we they know. I make them challenge for their spots a lot. It keeps them pretty honest, and it keeps them working hard.
Okay.
Yep.
Lexi, you play doubles as well.
Yes, sir.
And you're a junior.
Yes,
We'll talk a little bit about your experience this time around.
This time around, I had a new partner. She was in the 10th grade. Her name was Ellie Myers.
Ellie Myers,
And
go
at
ahead.
first, she was very nervous. It took a lot to make our partnership start working. I'd had the same partner for 2 years, so it was really different for me being the leading player on the court. I didn't really know what to say to her, but eventually our partnership came together and it worked awesome.
It must be kind of hard being a sophomore, first time on the varsity, first time going to state.
Yes, sir.
It sounds like she came through though and showed a lot of
really
poise.
did.
She played great. In
She
playoffs
really-
and state, she
yeah.
came up big.
We pulled a big court at state, and I couldn't have done it without her. She's awesome at the net. She's what, 5'11"?
Yeah,
She
she's
just-
tall
she
like
kills
Lexi.
everything. Yeah.
So when you say we pulled a court, for us people, we people, now I love, my last real tennis player that I really liked was Bjorn Borg.
Uh-huh.
And that
Yeah.
was probably before
probably
you
don't know
knew
who that
Bjorn Borg. Yes, and so, but now I like Bjorn Borg a good bit.
I too.
And Chris Everett. So that dates me all the way back to the 70s, I guess. But your partner was a sophomore,
Yes, sir.
and I understand that you guys pulled off a pretty good upset. I guess would be the semifinals.
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell us about that.
We had our first round and we won. Our second round we won, and then in our third round, which was semis, we knew it was going to be hard. We had the #1 seed in the tournament, and we were #4. So we knew if we wanted it, we were going to have to fight and give it our all, and we beat them straight sets. It didn't even go to a tiebreaker to go to the finals, and it was first all-new Albany girls finals.
It's probably one of the
So
best
you-
matches I've ever seen.
So
them
you
play.
knocked off the #1 seed.
So,
Congratulations.
thank you.
So that was the semifinals.
Yes, sir.
Now we go to the finals.
Finals, right.
And Coach Bowman kind of set that up for us a little bit.
Yeah, this is hard as a coach when it becomes the all-new Albany final, but this was history for our program because that means that our two girls doubles teams were the two best teams in the state in our classification. So that's really impressive. That means that Maggie and Jill were in one side of the bracket, Lexi and Ellie were in the other side of the bracket, and they beat everybody in the state to meet in the finals, which was awesome. And I hated that somebody had to lose, but it was just such a great match. I was so proud of both of them.
And Lexi, I think y'all ended up second.
We did, but it was an honor to make it that far with a new partner, especially.
Right.
And you did the state champions a favor by getting the #1 seed out of the
Right.
tournament.
Right.
So
Right.
no, that's it's a team thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Lexi and Ellie and Jackson's court were both crucial courts for us in the team championship. Out of 7 courts, you have to win 4, and they both clinched their court in the team championship to help us go on to win a 6-1 title.
And again, for people who are not as familiar with this, when you say 7 courts, can you describe what you're talking about there?
Yes, we play 1 boys singles, 1 girls singles, 2 girls doubles courts, 2 boys doubles courts, and 1 mixed doubles court to
Okay.
equal 7 courts. And you have to win 4 to win the match.
How many of those can any one player play in?
They can only play 1 position, so we had to kind of establish the positions and partnerships at the beginning of the year, and then just kind of build those partnerships throughout the year.
So there's no such thing as
Rotating.
maybe somebody playing in 2 or 3 of those 7 courts.
You can throughout the year until we establish those partnerships. Then we stick with that lineup.
And when you get to state, that's pretty much required.
Right. And what's interesting about us in Newton County in the team championship this year is we were stronger than them this year. They knew it, kind of we knew it, and so in high school tennis you can flop your lineup, meaning that you can put your 1 on 2, and they did that to us. So it did scare me a little bit when I saw the lineup, but we took care of business.
But you won 6 of the 7 courts.
Right.
Very well done.
Yeah.
Jackson,
Yes.
when did you start playing tennis? How long you played? Give me a little feel for that.
Well, I started in the 8th grade. Miss Suzy kind of recruited me into that. She talked me into it, but get me away from football. But I've been playing for about 5 years now. It's been probably the best years of my life. I love tennis. It's just such a good sport to play, Just takes time, to get into it.
A lot of good friendships.
That's right,
and,
definitely
people-
friendships.
I interviewed some people last week, and one thing I found is they talked a lot about high school. And these were people in their 40s and 50s, and it's like friendships you make in high school are just different than any friendships you ever make
right.
after that.
Our team is very close. We're like a family.
Lexi, a little bit about your tennis history.
Well, I started playing in 5th grade, just hitting with my dad, and middle school was, I wasn't very in it very much. I did cheerleading. I didn't want to sled. I wanted to go to cheer. So about 8th grade, I decided that tennis was going to be my sport, and that's what I wanted. And I worked really, really hard that year, and I made the varsity team my freshman year.
Go ahead. And then your sophomore year.
And my sophomore year, I played with the same partner that I had my freshman year, and that was my first state championship that year, which was awesome. And then my partner graduated.
What was
Maggie Creekmore.
Okay,
Yes,
all
sir.
right. I don't know if we said that before, but
No, so that was
Maggie, we got that in there right then. So, is tennis a year-round sport?
For us.
For us, it is. Yes, definitely.
So-
As soon as school starts, we're practicing all year, all summer. Definitely getting that worked out.
So when you're practicing in the summer with a coach, do you have practice matches? Is it real formal, or you just play
That's
a lot?
both.
Yeah.
Same.
Well, we actually just had a meeting right before we came here to kind of set our summer schedules. Summer to me is so important. That's when they really put the work in to get ready for the season. And then when we come together during the season and during school, we're just kind of putting the finishing touches on lineups and partnerships and stuff like that. But a lot of the work goes into the summer.
Well, Coach, let's talk about you for a minute. How did you come to be involved in tennis, history, and how did you become a tennis coach in New Albany?
Well, my husband is a tennis pro. He's the one that introduced me to the sport, and I just fell in love with it and just kind of got addicted to it. I mean, it just became a huge part of my life. Love coaching kids, love working with the youth. So when Warner Creekmore stepped down as the coach to move on and coach Blue Mountain College, the calling kind of came on Bo and I to take over the high school team, and we've loved it ever since.
Okay. And your husband, Bo, works at the tennis complex?
He is our city director of tennis. And runs the B&A tennis complex. So he runs our after-school programs from just little ages, the elementary school up to advanced players and adults.
Okay. Talk a little bit about the year in tennis this year in general.
Yeah, I'm just so proud of this group. We really were a young team. We graduated 6 seniors last year that went on to, many of those went on to play college tennis. So we had some big shoes to fill, but we really had some that were ready to step up into those positions, and they stepped up really well. But really, it takes the leaders and the veterans kind of coming back and leading the program when we lose those big name seniors. Morris Kelly Clayton was one of ours. Grayson Godbold, they're all playing at Millsaps, and some larger tennis programs. So we really had some big shoes to fill, but they all just stepped into their positions very well this year.
In New Albany tennis has a long history of success. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Right. Judy Brown was the first coach that I've heard that began a lot of the championship programs here. Then Warner came in. I believe Warner won 4 state championships, and then I've been here 5 years and been to five state championships also.
So I have to ask. That's a little bit like a dynasty.
That's what people say.
Well, it is. I mean, you win 4 out of 5, and we have a long history of
Right.
it. Why New Albany? I mean, why does that happen here?
I'll tell you, it has a lot to do with the player buy-in, but also the community and the administrator buy-in, and also the parents. We we're tough on them. I mean, and it is a year-round sport, and it is a huge investment. But they do it, and they reap the benefits of their hard work, and you can see that year after year, when we advance to the championships.
Okay. Very good. Well, let me get back to Lexi for just a minute here. All right, you're a junior. What are your goals going into next year?
I plan on going somewhere and getting into nursing school and becoming an RN. So I'm taking a lot of college classes next year, a lot of A&P, a lot of science, trying to shadow at some hospitals, just get all my prerequisites in.
She's also being recruited by a lot of colleges for tennis.
Are you?
Right.
Sorry.
Can you talk, give me an idea?
A lot of the junior college coaches come to the state championship, and they watch them play, and they go ahead and start kind of talking about what their commitments are for next year. And the same thing coaches did with Jackson this year. They're already talking to Lexi too for next year.
And with her being with Lexi, with you being kind of focused on what you want to do, they would be looking at what they could easily call a student athlete who wanted to become a nurse. And also, are you looking at a 4-year track on that or 2-year or what?
Right now I'm planning on getting a bachelor's, going and getting my work experience, and then going back and specializing in something.
Okay. Jackson, you're going to ICC.
That's right. Paddle tennis.
Go ahead, go play tennis. What do you hope to major in? Do you have some idea what you want to do with your life?
So far, like that's what I really want to do is accounting. Go to 2 years for ICC and then go two or four more at Mississippi State. That's what I plan on doing.
Okay.
He's doing one of our internships this summer.
I am.
Through Impacto?
He's not. He's through another portion of our program that actually came after the luncheon. We had some people call and want interns, and so we have him set up. He's working with South Financial Services in accounting.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, Lexi, being a junior, what do y'all see for next year? What's the prognosis for success for next year? We gonna keep the dynasty going?
Yes, I'm already excited about next year. Pretty much the day after the championship, I start thinking about next year's lineup. And I'll miss Jackson so much. His court was so important to our team these last few years. But I'm already kind of thinking about who's gonna step in and take those spots. And we've got some great young players coming up. One of them happens to be your grandson and my son are two already nationally ranked 11-year-olds. And so
why don't you go ahead and say their names?
Okay. Everett Garrett and Braden Bowman. They're two of our up-and-coming players. They're going into the 6th grade, so I can't officially get them until the 7th grade.
Right.
But by the time that they're 7th graders, they're already going to be top-notch players for our program.
So things look good to you.
It looks good.
Anything you'd like to add before we sign off?
I just want to thank them. They've been such and all of our players are such awesome kids. They're just a pleasure to coach. But just to thank our community. Our community tennis association does so much to make that park out there a nationally recognized park. So our Park and Rec Commission, Community Tennis Association, Jolene Cook, Susan Morris. There's so many. Warner Creekmore and Sam Creekmore do a lot of our landscaping out there. It just makes it for our program to play at a facility like that. We have a lot of people who just want to come play us there because our facility is so beautiful. And so the investment that New Albany's made in B&A Tennis Park has helped grow our program tremendously.
Okay. Anything you want to add, Lexi or Jackson?
Just thank you to Suzy and Bo. I wouldn't be where I was if it wasn't for them. They push me, they encourage me, they take me to tournaments. If I couldn't get there, they'd do anything for us.
They're the reason that we are how we are. It's how we're so good. Because of them.
Sweet.
And I can tell she enjoys working with you guys, so that's great.
I love them.
Well, we certainly appreciate having you guys on. And so for Coach Bowman, Lexi, Jackson, this is Chuck Garrett for Hill Country Network saying thanks for joining us.